Så trenger vi litt medisinsk hjelp til tresteggropen. Vi har medisinsk hjelp til hodet. Vi leser litt av skjermen. Vi har fått seg noe 15 fått i alt 43. Vi har 39,43. Esten Hansen Møllerud 3,48,64.
Ja, vi har akkurat startet 3 omgang da av trestegkonkurransen for kvinner. After the first 2 rounds of the women's triple jump, it's now the South American champion Gabriela Santos in the lead, 13-33. Maria Porza of Germany in second, 13-10, and Finland's Jessica Kehere in third with 13 meters sharp. And Irma Gunnarsdottir, the Icelandic record holder, improving in the third round from 12.78 to 12.90. Ja, så det Maria Sinai som neste hopper da. Par så god som 14-12. Ugyldig i de 2 første. Og hopperen fra Ukraina. Skal vi se om hun kan få et bra langt gyldig hopp nå. Next in the women's triple jump. Now in the third round, Germany's Maria Porza, currently second with 13.10, up against 13.33, which is the leading mark. Så bra langt ut, men dessverre ugyldig for Maria Porza. Forsvaret nummer 2 da på 13.10 bak Gabriela Santos 13.33. Finske Jessica Kehere neste hopper i 3 steg. Ligger på 3. plassen med 13.00. Hoppet til 13.58 inn i vinter, så her kan det komme en bra økning. Jessica Kehere øker med 4 cm da til 13.04. Tryggeren foreløpig 3. plassen i kvinnes trestegkonkurranse. Neste er den litauiske rekordholder med 14.43. Diana Sagainova har 2 ugyldige sprang hittil i dag.
Og neste løpsøvelse det er 800 meter for damer. We are ready for the 800 meters women.
Testing 1, 2. Good evening and welcome to the European Athletics coverage of the 2024 Trond Mohn Games. a World Athletics Continental Tour silver meeting. The event will play out over the next few hours here at the Fana Stadium in Bergen, a city of just under 300,000 people on the west coast of Norway. Delighted to say that some of the global stars of the sport will be in action, with Karsten Warholm opening his season in the men's 300-metre hurdles just after 8 p.m. local time. World champion Ethan Katzberg will be in the men's hammer alongside Bench Halash, while Olympic silver medalist Eivind Henriksen will also be in that one.
I bane 4 ifra Sveits, Rachel Pelod. I bane 3 fra Ungarn, Bianca Keri. Også i bane 3 ifra Irland, Louise Shannon. Så har vi da i bane 2 fra Norge, Malin Nyfors. Og i bane 1 fra Portugal, Patricia Silva. Og også i bane 1 fra Norge, Pernille Antonsen. Vi klar. Der kommer vi av gårde med 800 meter damer. Malin Nyfors.
They are off in the women's 800 meters, the first track event here of the live coverage. And it is a steady start for now, as we see going up there well on the outside is Vera Perala of Finland, setting the pace. But it's bunched tightly in behind. At the moment, there is a number of sub-2 minute athletes here as they reach 200 meters in about 28 seconds or so for the main pack there. It is bunched very tightly here. There's a number of sub-2 minute women, as I said. Rachel Pelot of Switzerland, and that is Bianca Carey of Hungary there, just setting the pace there in second at the moment, leading the pack essentially. And then look out too for Anna-Marie Nissen of Denmark. Louise Shanahan of Ireland also in there. She's back in 5th place at the moment. But at the moment it is Bianca Carey just leading the pack as they hit 58.79 there at the bell. The pack probably through in about 59 seconds roughly. And it is Anna Wielgot of Poland has taken up the running now in second. She has a 1:59.84 PB. But look out too there on the outside for Charlene Matthias of Denmark, is now making a strong move. So they hit 600 meters just outside 130, about 131 there as they go through. So still a good time in the on the cards here. 150 meters to run. And it is Anna Wielgot, or it is Matthias, Charlene Matthias of Denmark coming round there, the outside. Charlene Matthias looks to be kicking to glory here, but can she fight off Pelot? This is Rachel Pelot of Switzerland, holding on from Charlene Matthias right now. 50 meters to run. It looks like Rachel Pelot might just hang it. No, she's not. It's going to be Matthias. Leans at the line, 2:01.96. Charlene Matthias takes victory, timed it to perfection. And that will have done the Luxembourg athlete no harm on the rankings list. She is down in 71st at the moment on the Road to Paris drop-down list. Of course, 48 athletes, when it's filtered by 3 per country, will get to the Paris Olympics. And Matthias is also 45th on the Road to Rome, with 32 athletes to get to the European Championships, which begin in just a couple of weeks at the Olympic Stadium in Rome. So this is, of course, a World Athletics Continental Tour silver meeting, which means there's plenty of bonus points on offer. So you see there 2 of the sub-2 women, Rachel Pelot of Switzerland and Charlene Matthias of Luxembourg it was, coming around the outside. Matthias in sparkling form so far this year, 2:00.96 just recently in Karlsruhe. And she's taken down about 4 sub-2 minute women there, so a very impressive run by the athlete from Luxembourg, the 31-year-old. And as I mentioned, outside the rankings at the moment for both the European Championships and the Paris Olympics, but that win and that time will have certainly improved her chances of making both. The qualifying deadline for the European Championships closes this Sunday. And of course, the qualifying deadline for the Paris Olympics is extended until the end of June, just after all those national championships take place in that final weekend of June. So the women's 800 meters was our first track event, but we've lots coming up here over the next 2.25 hours or so will be on air. Of course, one of the highlights undoubtedly will be the season opener of Karsten Warholm, the Norwegian hero in the men's 300 meter hurdles. That's at 8:03 p.m. Central European time, local time here. In the infield, there's a lot of action going on. As you see, the women's long jump is underway. The women's hammer is well underway as well, with a few global medalists in there. Sorry, this is the women's triple jump we're looking at. There's also going to be men's pole vault and a cracking men's hammer competition, along with a men's shot put featuring Kyle Blignon of South Africa. Next up on track, though, it's going to be the women's 5,000 meters. That's coming up in about 10 minutes' time, so we'll keep our focus on the triple jump for now. As we see confirmation there of that victory for Charlene Matthias of Luxembourg, 2:01.95 ahead of Rachel Pilot of Switzerland, and Anna Wielgoch of Poland takes third, 2:02.85.
Vant på 2:01,95, representerer Luxembourg. Vi har Rachel Pilot fra Sveits 2:02,21 og Anna Wielgoch fra Polen 2:02,85.
So it's still early days in that triple jump. We're just in, is it the fourth round at the moment? Yeah, we're in the fourth round right now. Competition being led by Diana Zaigunova. No, it's not, in fact. It's by Maria Purza of Greece with 13:10 is leading that. But looking back to the women's hammer, because this is a loaded women's hammer competition. And we'll be checking in momentarily on that women's hammer, but I can tell you they are in the fifth round right now.
To the podium,
and the lead is being held
Luxembourg,
by Azerbaijan's Hannah Skyden. 72.47 there, the mark to beat.
2:01.95.
And Charlene Matthias is proudly standing atop the podium with some excess baggage, a giant check and bouquet of flowers to take back to Luxembourg.
Ja, vi er I gang med femte omgang I slegget nå.
Back to the women's hammer, though.
Og Beatrice nå trykker til her, og begynner virkelig å nærme seg 70-meteren her.
As I mentioned, we are in the fifth round here now. This is Beatrice Jano of Norway. Her best so far, 68.33. Fouled her last attempt. She is sitting down in about fourth place at the moment, I think it is. The way still being led by Hannah Skyden of Azerbaijan. 77-meter thrower the best, opened with 72.47. Back to the women's triple jump, and that was just an aborted attempt there by Jessica Kahara of Finland.
Ja, det europamester Bianca Gelberg I sleggeringen nå. Ja, kan det komme en kraftig økning fra 68-34. Skal vi se om dette bærer for Bianca da. Det var ikke langt unna 70-meteren. Så ut til å være omtrent samme lengde som Beatrice, som har fått 69-30.
So in that women's hammer, we do have a global medalist in Alexandra Tavernier of France and Malvina Capron of Poland Capron was the 2020 Olympic bronze medalist. Tavernier, the World Championships bronze medalist back in 2015, a 9-time French champion. And Bianca Gelber of Romania is in there as well, 2012, I should say, European champion in the women's hammer. But the way is still being led right now by Hannah Skaiden of Azerbaijan with that 72.47 throw. As I mentioned, next up on track is going to be the women's 5,000 meters. It's a cloudy but warm evening in Bergen. Good weather conditions for decent fast distance running, with all athletes I'm sure will be trying to earn those bonus points as the countdown continues to the European Athletics Championships in Rome, and of course the Paris Olympic Games. But back at the women's triple jump, and that is Maria Purza of Greece, 2-time national champion.
Tar vi ned sin slegge da. Noe under 68 meter her. Og Bianca Gelber fikk 68-64.
So Bianca Gelber of Romania in the women's hammer. Her best so far to 68.84. Was Alexandra Tavernier there, 67.24, so no improvement for her. 68.96, her best so far, has her down in fourth place, I should say. But back to the women's triple jump. Gabriela Santos of Brazil, 2-time Brazilian champion, personal best of 14.17. So we'll check in if she's managed to improve as we look ahead to the men's pole vault. Introductions ongoing here. Gabriela Santos, 13.33 is her best. Looks like that was a foul, that jump, but she is currently leading that women's triple jump with 13.33 into a pretty stiff headwind as well, 1.6, as we see the introductions for the men's pole vault should be coming up in just a few minutes time. Valters Kreis will be one to watch there. 5.66 his best, national indoor champion for Latvia back in February. And then from the United States, Jacob Wooten from Tomball in Texas, a graduate of Texas A&M, the Aggies. And he has the Olympic standard, 5.90 his best. He jumped 5.82 to qualify for the Olympics indoors this year in Texas, but of course, given that US system, he'll also have to be top 3 at the national championships next month. It is ruthless, but it makes for one heck of a national championships and great entertainment as the season heats up very much. And of course, delighted to say European Athletics will be streaming so much of the coverage from the World Athletics Continental Tour bronze, silver and challenger levels on the countdown to Paris. 36 meetings at least will be streamed. Many of them have already been done so, but keep your eyes peeled to the European Athletics channels over the coming weeks because there'll be lots on offer. As we see, unfortunately, looks like an injury there in the women's triple jump. I think that is Maria Purza, who has gone down with what looks like a hamstring injury. She was in second place with 13.10 in that women's triple jump. Next up on track, as I mentioned, just 2 minutes away now, is the women's 5,000 meters. Lots of athletes will be looking for fast times and a few placing points as they try to make their national teams and get inside that rankings cutoff quota for the European Championships next month, and of course the Olympic Games in August. The athletics program at the Olympics will begin on August 1st. European Championships, a reminder, June 7th to 12th. Tickets still available. What should be an incredible European Athletics Championships at the Olympic Stadium in Rome. But the women's 5,000 metres, they are just behind the start line right now. And there is a wealth of talent in this. It's an all-European event here. And a reminder, a World Athletics Continental Tour silver event. There is Jodie McCann of Ireland, the white singlet. Younger sister of Irish international 1,500 metre runner Luke McCann. Holly Archer there of Britain in the other white vest. She's a 15:52 athlete on the road. Better known as a 1,500 metre runner on the track, 4:07 PB, and she's a European silver medal from back in 2021. But we'll see how she fares tonight, the 30-year-old, over 12 and a half laps. A reminder, the European Athletics automatic standard for Rome is 15:15. The Olympic standard for automatic qualification is 14:52. I would suspect we won't see an athlete break either of those tonight. But if they can get as close as possible, they will get valuable bonus points and indeed ranking points on the path to Rome and indeed Paris. So we have a number of athletes here who've run in and around 15:15 to 15:30, and I'd expect that this is what the pace will likely go out at. As we see Jodie McCann there just slotting into second behind the pacemaker, so she is the de facto leader right now, the Irish woman, 24 years old. She is 52nd at the moment on the Road to Paris list, over 5,000 metres, and she's 33rd on the Road to Rome. So top 25 will get to Rome, top 42 will get to the Olympics in Paris. So this could be a crucial one for the Irish woman in second. 15:30 is her personal best, which she set just recently, the end of April in Japan. She's been training down under and doing a block down under, as so many of them do in the Australian summer earlier this year. She clocked a 1,500 metre PB out there. So Holly Archer is cutting out the pacemaking here, and I'm assuming that is why she's been entered in this field. The European indoor 1,500 metre silver medalist from back in 2021. She tows them through 400 metres. But back to the women's triple jump. I think that was Maria Purza of Greece just choosing to end that attempt mid-jump. Something not right, obviously, as they pass 600 metres in about 1:50. So it's a good pace been laid down there, and you can see that by how strung out this field there is. There's only one athlete running off the curve at the moment, and she now settles in. So it is a healthy pace been laid down. We'll get a better idea of it here when they pass 800 metres and indeed 1,000 metres coming up. But it is Holly Archer of Great Britain at the moment setting the pace from Jodie McCann. And then it is Sarah Madeleine of France back in third at the moment. She's a 15:20 athlete who set that PB just recently, about 2 weeks ago, on home turf in France. So look out for her, the 25-year-old. But Holly Archer doing a good job here of setting the pace. As we cut back to the women's triple jump and Gabriela Santos of Brazil. Santos still leads the competition with 13:33. We're now in the 5th round. Can she improve? And that will not be an improvement. Santos runs through, but she is in firm command of that. That is the end of the 5th round, so just 1 round left there. Gabriela Santos of Brazil, 13.33 ahead of Maria Purza of Greece, 13.10. And then back in 3rd, it is Jessica Kahara of Finland. As we check back in on the women's 5,000 metres, and that was the 1,000 metre split there that just passed in about 3:02. So 15:10 pace or so being laid on here for these athletes. And they are being brave in pursuit of it, because about 8 or 9 of them now are following that pace laid down by Holly Archer. As we look back to the men's pole vault, which is still in its early stages. I think that was William Asker there of Sweden. But the bar at a relatively modest 5:03, I think it is, still. But back to the hammer, because Alexandra Tavernier is up, and this, I think, is the final round of the women's hammer. Tavernier down in 4th place at the moment on 68.96. The way still being led there by Hannah Skyden of Azerbaijan, 72.47 her best. But back to the women's 5,000 metres. And it looks like the pace has slowed significantly here, because you can just tell by the way the athletes are bunching up there. But it is still Holly Archer keeping things ticking along out front, but perhaps just a little slackening of the pace there in this 2nd kilometre. Jodie McCann continues to lead the way there in 2nd. Sarah Madeline just on her shoulder, back in 3rd, the French woman. As I mentioned, there are a number of athletes who've run in the low 15 minutes, around towards the 15:30 mark. As we check back in on the women's hammer. And this is Beatrice Llano of Norway. She's in 3rd place at the moment in this final round. 69.30 is her best. Can that be an improvement? Out towards that 70-metre line for sure, but it looks they've come up short of it. Hannah Skyden with that 72.47 throw in the very first round still leads the way ahead of Katrin Koch Robinson of Denmark, 71.15 her best. And now the pacemaker Holly Archer has stepped aside, and it's good to see this. Sarah Madeline of France stepping on the pace, keeping things honest. They're going to be approaching 2 kilometres here, and the pace looks to have slowed quite significantly really in that 4th and 5th lap, because this is the 5th lap and they'll be hitting 2,000 metres here as they reach the end of this backstretch, and it's going to be a good bit outside 6 minutes, but not too far. Looks like it's going to be around the 6:10 mark, so these women still on for a good pace here. They can certainly run around the 15:20 mark, and as I mentioned, it may come up short of an automatic standard for the European Athletics Championships or indeed the Olympic Games, but every second will count and every place will count with the generous bonus points that are on offer. But back to the hammer, because Katrin Koch Robinson of Denmark, can she produce a 72-metre throw? That's what she needs to win it. She's in 2nd at the moment. But Jakobsen looks to have fallen short with that one. 72.47 is the mark she's aiming for. 71.90 was her best, and that is a 70. No, in fact, that is her best. 71.90. So it is an improvement. 71.15, her previous best, but it keeps her in 2nd place. So the win in that women's hammer is going to go to Hannah Skyden of Azerbaijan, who will have her 6th and final attempt upcoming. Back to the women's triple jump. And Gabriela Santos of Brazil still leading the way here with 13:33. Back in second, Maria Purza of Greece, 13:10. And then Diana Zagwinova of Lithuania, 13:08. But back on track for the 5,000 meters. And Sarah Madeline is keeping things very honest here. And she is whittling down the contenders around her. Just 5 now in that leading pack. Starting to splinter. But certainly 2 or 3 more athletes who perhaps have the ability to get on this if they have closed that gap sensibly in these crucial middle kilometers, middle laps. And we'll have some introductions upcoming because shot put and pole vault action still to come on the track. And there is your field for the men's shot put. Yander Heil of Estonia. He's a 4-time national champion outdoors, 5 times national indoor champion with a best of 1981. That is Eric Mayhofer of Germany. He was the European under-23 silver medalist in 2023. Jesper Arbinge of Sweden. He is just outside the necessary rankings for Rome and Paris, so what can he produce tonight? 20:03 his best. Lorenzo Del Gatto of Italy, 1978 is his best. There's the favourite, Kyle Blignaut of South Africa, 6th in the Olympic final in Tokyo, world under 20 champion back in 2018, and a 21:26 metre thrower, personal best set earlier this month, so he arrives in fantastic form. There is Marcus Thompson of Norway, and on home turf he'll be hoping to produce something special. 21:09 is his personal best from back in 2021, but very close to that recently in Sollentuna in Sweden, 21:05. And Marcus Thompson is looking towards that Olympic qualification and European Championships qualification. He is currently 29th on the road to Paris rankings with just 32 athletes going, but he's got the automatic standard for Rome, so he doesn't need to worry about that deadline closing later this week. Back to the 5,000 metres, and then there were 2, and it is Sarah Madeline of France who is keeping this pace very honest, just outside 3 minutes per kilometre. It was, we'll check in once they reach, what's it going to be, 4 kilometres coming up now. They're approaching another lap or so. But looking back to the track for the women's triple jump, and just checking in on some of the results here. And indeed, in this 6th round, this is Diana Zagwinova of Lithuania. 13:08 is her best, just 1 valid jump out of the 5 so far. The lead still being held by Gabriela Santos of Brazil with 13:33. So Jessica Kahara of Finland with 13:04 her best, but Diana Zagwinova has jumped 13:39, so that has taken the lead in the final round from Zagwinova of Lithuania. The European under-23 champion back in 2019 and the World University Games silver medalist last year was Zagwinova. Her best is 14:43. And she'll obviously be shy of that tonight, but a 13:39 in the final round has certainly done her qualification chances no harm for the Olympic Games, because she'll be earning plenty of bonus points if she manages to hold on and take victory tonight. But 2 more jumps. That's one of them by Maria Purza of Greece. 13:10 her best so far. Again, just 1 valid effort, 4 fouls. And what has she jumped here, Maria Purza? 13:33 and 13:39 are the marks to beat. Back on track for the women's 5,000 metres. And straight over to the field for the men's pole vault. As you see, just 2 athletes there left at the front in that women's 5,000 meters, led by Sarah Madeline. But this is going to be the final jump we see in the women's triple jump, and it is Gabriela Santos down to second place after that 13:39. So that's the mark she's chasing here, Gabriela Santos. Gets the round of applause. That was 13:14 Maria Purza jumped in that final round. And this looks to be measured. Is it enough? She looks happy with her performance. She checks the board. We'll see what Gabriela Santos has produced under pressure. Did she produce the clutch 6th round effort to overhaul Diana Zaguinova? But 1 lap to run. And they are on a very decent pace here in this women's 5,000 meters, because Sarah Madeline, 14:13 at the bell. She's going to be in the 15:20s, I suspect. But she has company in the form of Maria Ferrero of Spain. These are the 2 favourites, really, we thought beforehand in this race. Maria Ferrero in contention for a place in both Paris and Rome. She's a European under-23 silver medalist over 5,000 metres there, in 2nd last year. 5th at the World Under-20 Championships, and she's putting up a bold showing here against the older, more experienced Sarah Madeline. And Madeline, the 25-year-old, is beginning to kick clear there with 200 metres to run. Sarah Madeline, 15:20, her best. She's going to be very, very close to that. She needs about a 67 to break that. 67 is a big ask at the end of a 5K, but she's going to go very close to that as Sarah Madeline, as she kicks for home with about 80 metres, 90 metres to run now. Madeline kicks clear of Ferrero, the French woman ahead of the Spaniard. Can she break her personal best of 15:20, which she set in France earlier this year? I think she's going to be just inside it. She is 15:18. A flying 65-second final lap. It is a lifetime best for Sarah Madeline. And Maria Ferrero coming through there in 2nd is going to be a big personal best for her as well. 15:27 was her previous best. So fantastic showing from the leading 2. As I mentioned, conditions are pretty good. Warm in Bergen tonight for a good fast 5 kilometers, and that's what we've seen. And well done to Sarah Madeline as well, because she was the one, once Holly Archer, the pacemaker, stepped aside, who pushed on the pace, very conscious of those ranking points. And as I mentioned, Maria Ferrero in 2nd, the young Spaniard, the 21-year-old. She is 44th on the Road to Paris rankings with just 42 qualifying, and she's 27th on the Road to Rome rankings with 25 qualifying for Rome. But I would suspect if you put that time, that personal best, together with the bonus points Maria Ferrero got there for 2nd place, she will be up into qualification position, for now anyway, for both the European Championships in Rome and indeed the Olympic Games in Paris. As I mentioned, the deadline for qualification for Rome closes this Sunday. The deadline for Paris closes at the end of June. Back to the shot put, Marcus Thompson of Denmark. 21:09, his best. This is Jander Heil of Estonia, 4-time national champion, preparing to get into the circle. And just confirmation after that women's triple jump that Gabriela Santos was indeed denied there, just losing out to that final round effort by Diana Zaguinova. This is Jander Heil, 4-time national champion. And with 30 athletes qualifying for the European Athletics Championships in the shot put, he is 31st at the moment on the drop down. So he'll be looking to improve his season's best of 19:40, which he threw in Leiria in Portugal back in March, and get inside that top 30 before the cutoff closes this Sunday, and earn a spot at what should be a fantastic edition of the European Athletics Championships next month in Rome, June 7th. They'll be getting underway. Presentation time, though, and it is for the women's triple jump, I think. Yep. Confirmation that Diana Zaguinova of Lithuania took victory with 13:39. Gabriela Santos of Brazil second with 13:33. And Maria Purza of Greece takes third with 13:14. All the athletes there, by the looks of things, jumping into headwinds. I know this is actually the women's hammer. And there is your champion, Hannah Skaiden of Azerbaijan, 72:47, her best on the night. And it came in the opening round. Katrin Koch Robinson Jakobsen of Denmark took second with 71:90. And Alexandra Tavernier there, former world medalist, in fourth, hoping to rediscover her best form. So, back to the shot put. And it's early days here. We're in the second round at the moment. Jesper Erbinge of Sweden, 1992, he threw in his first round. 20:03 his best. But we're back to the men's pole vault. As we see presentation time for that women's 5,000 meters, and Sarah Madeline takes victory. Takes that comically oversized placard for victory, along with the bouquet of flowers. And of course, most importantly of all, a personal best for Sarah Madeline, doing her qualification chances. No harm whatsoever, a big boost for qualifying for both Rome and indeed the Paris Olympics. Sarah Madeline takes victory in 15:18:60, and a personal best also in second for Maria Ferrero and Victoria Wagner. Gjörkes in third. 15:14 was her best, so she is shy of that. 15:33 on the night. And in confirmation of that women's triple jump, the sixth and final effort, Diana Zaguinova of Lithuania stole victory. Earned victory. So, men's shot put. That's Marcus Thompson of Norway. 21:09 his best, but as I mentioned, season's best recently of 21:05. How close has he gone to that at the Fana Stadion in Bergen? That is his number 400, so he'll be awaiting his measurement. And at the moment, no surprises to see who's leading that. Kyle Blignot. Oh no, it is Marcus Thompson who's leading it currently with that opening round throw of 20:92. What has he produced though in the second round? Kyle Blignot of South Africa, 20:55. As you see, he got the white flag. So Marcus Thompson leads the way on 20:92 ahead of Kyle Blignot, 20:55. And back in third at the moment, it is Jesper Erbinge of Sweden with 19:98. As we see confirmation once again of that women's triple jump. Gabriela Santos of Brazil led for so much of the way, but Diana Zaguinova came and took victory in that sixth and final round with 13:39. Next up on track in about 15 minutes time is going to be the men's 400 meter hurdles. And Norway will very much be to the fore there. And a expect Belgium to feature as well with Hadrien Pienjon. So there's plenty of action coming up in track and field. And of course, everyone is anxiously waiting for that season opener from Karsten Warholm coming up at just after 8 p.m. local time, 8:03. He'll be running the 300-meter hurdles, which he's done twice before to open his season, 2020 and 2021. Both times he set a world best. What can he do tonight? But looking back to the men's pole vault, are currently at 5:33. William Asker of Sweden. No, in fact, the bar is at 5:43 now. He was over 5:33 at his first attempt, but a first-time failure for Asker there at 5:43. Asker just consulting with his coach there, seeing what exactly went amiss in that opening effort. And on the field, we'll have men's hammer throw coming up in about a half an hour's time, and that is a loaded men's hammer competition. And then women's long jump will also be getting underway in about 30 minutes' time. Men's shot put ongoing. And this is Lorenzo Del Gatto, 1978, his personal best back from 2021. What has he produced here? Walks out the back of the circle anyway, which is a good sign. Gets the white flag. He wants it to be measured. He is currently down in 5th position at the moment, is Del Gatto. 1884, his opening round effort. We're in the 3rd round right now. Fouled his 2nd attempt. And patiently waiting for that measurement to pop up. Valters Kreis of Latvia, his first attempt is a no-go at 5:43. But this is the favourite for the men's shot put, Kyle Bligno, now training in Italy, the South African. What has he produced here? He will be the favourite to win this. 2092 is the mark he's chasing at the moment. 2055 his best in the 2nd round. 6th in the Olympic final in Tokyo was Kyle Bligno, now training in Italy under the guidance of famous coach Paolo Del Soglio, alongside Zane Weir, who also was born and raised in South Africa and now represents Italy, the land of his grandfather. And I'm sure big benefit to Kyle Bligno to train alongside Zane Weir. But Marcus Thompson now into the circle. That was a foul, confirmation of that for Kyle Bligno. So the lead is still held by Marcus Thompson. Back in 2017, he was the European Under-20 champion. 10th in the World Final in Oregon. 9th in the European Final back in Munich 2 years ago. Can he reproduce that magic this summer? Let's fly here in the 3rd round. 2092 he opened this competition with. Gets the white flag. Has he improved on that? Marcus Thompson, the 26-year-old Norwegian. He'll be keen to defend his turf in Norway and give the crowd a home victory on the night against a formidable opponent in Kyle Bligno, the 24-year-old South African. So Marcus Thompson doesn't look overly delighted with that, but always hard to judge off these facial expressions. What has he thrown in round 3? 2041, indeed, that's why he's not too delighted. That is not an improvement on his first 2 attempts. 2092 in the opening round, 2088 in the 2nd, but still holds the lead despite that 2041. But Kyle Bligno will certainly be eyeing that first place and he'll need to improve by just under 40 centimeters to do it, to catch Thompson. As I mentioned, next up on track, it will be the men's 400-meter hurdles. And then shortly after that, we'll have women's 200-meter action on the track. Men's 400-meter hurdles now just about 10 minutes away, 12 minutes away. And if you're looking for Mr. Karsten Warholm, a reminder that he will not be in his specialist event. He'll be dropping down in distance, opening his season over the 300-meter hurdles at 3 minutes past 8 local time, Central European time. And we'll all be anxiously waiting to see what exactly Karsten Warholm could do. 33.26. I'm sure I'll be mentioning that more than once over the next hour. That is the world best for 300-meter hurdles. It's what Karsten Warholm ran in Oslo back in 2021. A year before, he ran 33.78 at the Impossible Games. So we'll be looking at those two times. Can he improve on his own world best for 300-meter hurdles? As we saw with that 5,000-meter lifetime best for our first two athletes home, Maria Ferrero and Sarah Madeline, conditions are good in Bergen tonight. Although lots of headwinds by the looks of things in that women's triple jump. So maybe it's a bit breezier than a lot of these athletes would like, ideally. But I'm sure Mr. Warholm won't worry too much about that, as we see some introductory speeches being made here to welcome the crowd at the Trond Mohn Games. That is Trond Mohn in the red t-shirt, the man who this event is named after. He is a businessman and a philanthropist and a big supporter of sport and many other pursuits in Norway. And he is beloved in this part of the world, is Trond Mohn. 81 years old now, Trond. Being presented with a plaque by the organisers. Okay, I'll admit my Norwegian is not really up to scratch to understand what Trond said there. But a reminder of that, back on the track and field we have men's pole vault, men's shot put ongoing, and then we also have the men's 400-meter hurdles, which is just about 7 or 8 minutes away now. So, speeches complete, introductions done, and the main program well underway here at the Trond Mohn Games. As I mentioned, there is Trond Mohn, the longtime CEO of the Frank Mohn AS company, a businessman and a philanthropist, and a native of Bergen. Next up on track, it's going to be the men's 400-meter hurdles. Good to see a great crowd in at Fana Stadium tonight. I'm sure many of them will have been drawn by the attraction of Karsten Warholm, a national hero in Norway and indeed a global superstar of the sport in every corner of the world. Karsten Warholm, the defending Olympic champion and world champion, and of course the world record holder, will be opening his season at the Trond Mohn Games. Not very long away now, just over 45 minutes until Karsten Warholm will be on the track for that 300-meter hurdles. Perhaps going after that world best time of 33:26. But this is his specialist event. This is the men's 400-meter hurdles. 6 athletes in action here. The quickest of them is going to be in lane 4, Hadrien Pinjon. 47.87, his best for 400-meter hurdles. And in lane 5 there, that is Andreas Langhalle of Norway. There is the favourite, Hadrien Pinjon of Belgium. As I mentioned, 47.87, his best. In lane 2, that is Benjamin Boone Flygansvar of Norway. 52.66, his best. And on the inside in lane 1, also from Norway, is Daniel Hanstveit. 54.87, his best. So he'll be up against it in the calibre of this field. But if there's a man who can perhaps put it up to Pinjon, then it is Vegard Trefal. He is in lane 3 from Norway. He is a 49.39 athlete at his best. So we'd suspect the lanes to watch are lanes 3 and lanes 4. That red vest there of Trefal. And then the man to the right will be Hadrien Pinjon. So that is Vegard Trefel of Norway on their marks for the men's 400-meter hurdles. Away first time, and Trefal out to a good start, but no surprise there to see Pinjon in lane 4, second from the outside, running fast, and also going well there is Andreas Langhalle of Norway. But at the moment, it looks to be Trefal powering up the back straight there. Vegard Trefal. He has really ripped through the first 200 metres. Has the Norwegian. Starting to pull clear. Also going very well on the outside is Andreas Langhalle. No, that is Jone Alsaker Loken. But in lane 3, it is Vegard Trefal. Also going well there on the inside is Daniel Hanstveit. But it looks like Trefal is going to pull clear here. He's got it maybe a metre or two, but Hanstveit is coming back at him with every step. And Hanstveit, I think, is going to win it on the inside. 49.82. Daniel Hanstveit came from way back, doing something you rarely see in a one-lap event, and he has left it all on the track. Daniel Hanstveit. What a powerful finish it was by him. 49.82 takes victory in the dying meters. Daniel Hanstveit. And back to the pole vault because Jacob Wooden is on the runway. 5.53, his final attempt, he went over it. But Walter's Kreis, as we saw, 5.53, he matched Wooten there, and he joins him up and over 5.33. But Wooten will be in the lead at the moment, given he has fewer failures. Back to the men's shot put. And the long-time leader is still the leader, Marcus Thompson, in this fourth round. 20.92 his best with that opener. But Kyle Blignaud of South Africa trying to chase him down. 20.55 is Blignaud's best to date. Thompson is disgusted with that effort, gets the white flag, but looks like it's not going to be an improvement on his 20.92 for the Norwegian. As I mentioned, 2017 he was the European Under-20 Championship, and he was 10th in the World Final 2 years ago in Oregon. And with 32 men to make the Paris Olympics, he is currently 29th on the drop-down, is Marcus Thompson. Already has the automatic qualifying standard for Rome, however. That deadline will be closing later this week, and I'm sure we'll be seeing Marcus Thompson of Norway in his national colours at the Olympic Stadium in Rome next month. So next up on track, in about 10 minutes' time, it's going to be the women's 200 metres. But back for now to the pole vault, because Walter's Kreis, the bar now up to 5.63, I think. He was over 5.53 at his third and final attempt. What can Kreis do here? This is a big ask, and yeah, too big an ask at the moment for him. He was fourth last year in the European Under-23 final, was Walter's Kreis. Personal best 5.66, so this is certainly pushing the limits of what he's capable of. But that was at his own national indoor championships back in February. The young Latvian, just 20 years old. And he is in a ding-dong battle here against Jacob Wooten of the United States. Wooten, of course, would be the favourite, having cleared 5.90 at his best. As we see there, 5.63, unsuccessful first attempt for Kreis. But as I mentioned, Wooten the Texan, 5.82 indoors this year in Texas, makes him the overwhelming favourite for this. That was an Olympic qualifier, of course, but the hardest part of all, being an American, is finishing top 3 at those US trials. Back to the shot put. This is Yander Heil. It's a red flag. Steps out the front of the circle. And here is Jacob Wooten. This is his first attempt at 5.63. Can he make it a successful one? Yes, he can. Celebrating immediately as soon as he got over that in the air celebration from Jacob Wooten. 5.63 up and over at his first attempt, and he now has a lock on this competition. Because even if Walter's Kreis goes clear at 5.63, the bar will be going up. That won't be good enough to put him in front. He'll need a higher clearance and likely a personal best beyond 5.66, his current best. So looks like Jacob Wooten has control of this, but how high can he go tonight? 5.72 was his best outdoors recently at the Suzhou Diamond League in China. As we see confirmation there of that men's 400 meters. Daniel Hanstveit, 49.80. Ahead of Vegard Trefal, 49.87. And then Ione Alasker Loken, back in third with 51.04. Next up on track is going to be the women's 200 meters coming up in about 7 or 8 minutes time. And this man needs to produce something. We're in the 5th round of the men's shot put. The man we probably expected to come home in front here. The top of the podium, Kyle Blignot of South Africa. 20.55 his best. Has he got this one right? Looks to be out there that between the 20 and 21 meter lines that is being measured. 20.92 though, he needs to get to the front. Might not be enough, I think, for Kyle Blignot. Now based in Italy. So 20.55 so far is the best for the 24-year-old South African. 20.24 that looks like. So no improvement there for Kyle Blignot. And as we look to the 6th and final round, it's going to be Marcus Thompson in firm command. Here is Marcus Thompson with his 5th round effort, 20.92, his best so far. And while he's qualified for the Europeans, remember he's just inside the rankings cutoff for the world ranking, for the quota, the 32 places at the Paris Olympics, currently 29th. So this win with a good effort, a good distance, would go a long way to helping him to earn a place at the Paris Olympics. What has he produced here in the 5th round? Marcus Thompson. Back to the pole vault. And a second attempt for Walters Kreis at 5.63. 20-year-old. Fourth in the European Under-23 final last year. He's going to be at least second tonight, but calls a halt on that attempt mid-air. Pole vaulters always know this is a mechanical drill they've rehearsed thousands of times over. And as soon as that bar is planted and they set off into the air, they know if something is amiss. And Walters Kreis definitely knew that was not going to succeed. But he'll have one more attempt to try to match Jacob Wooten. And if not, it will be Wooten all alone as the bar is sent up higher. Maybe he'll just call time at 5.63, but I suspect he'll put the bar up a little higher, given he's jumped 5.82 indoors this year. Perhaps a season's best of 5.73 might be the next port of call for the 27-year-old American. Good crowd at Fana Stadium tonight, enjoying the action here at this World Athletics Continental Tour Silver meeting. And as I've mentioned many times, and no doubt will again, Karsten Warholm in the men's 300 meter hurdles coming up just after 8 p.m. Central European time, so just under 40 minutes away from the season opener of the world record holder, the world champion and the Olympic champion in the 400 meter hurdles. But about to get underway on the infield is the women's long jump. Favourite here will likely be the Indian Shaili Singh, national champion, a rising star of Indian jumping, just 20 years old. She won the World Under-20 silver medal back in 2021 and a 6.76 jumper this year. You see her there, the tall athlete at the back, or near the back. And next up on track is going to be the women's 200 meters, and there is a lot of talent in that race. Martina Kotvila of Poland will be running there, sub-23 second athlete, along with Ireland's Phil Healy. They have identical personal bests at 22.99, but lots of low 23 second European talent in there. And we'll look forward to a good competition coming up as well in the women's long jump, which will be getting underway in about 3 or 4 minutes time. 7:30 local time, as I mentioned, the favourite there from India, Shaili Singh. But Magdalena Bukun of Poland will no doubt put up a strong fight as well, as 6'71" athlete at her best. But back to the pole vault, because it's now or never for Walters Kreis of Latvia. 2 failures so far at 5.63. This is his third and final effort to try to join Jacob Wooten as the bar heads up into the 570s next. As I mentioned, 5.66 was Kreis's personal best. Did it at his own national championships indoors back in February. Just missed the podium last year at the European Under-23 Championships, finishing 4th. Opened this season just last weekend in Germany, in Rehlingen. It's been an improved performance here, so he's got an outdoor season's best. Just drums up a bit of atmosphere there with the crowd. Walters Kreis, good to see Jacob Wooten as well supporting him, his rival, in the background. What can Walters Kreis do here? 5.63, and again calls a halt, and unlucky there that he landed on the mat. That could have been a little bit tricky as he came down towards that takeoff board. Back to the shot put, and Yander Heil of Estonia. This is the foul. We're in the 6th and final round now. Heil's best is 19.46, has him down in 4th place. Top 3 at the moment leading the way. Marcus Thompson of Norway, 20.92. Then it is Kyle Blignot of South Africa with 20.55. And Jesper Arbinge of Sweden in 3rd. He'll be next into the circle. His best so far in 19.98. And that indeed, of course, was a foul from Yander Heil. So he will have to settle for 4th with 19.46. But here is Arbinge. Now, the 2 marks he's after are 20.55 and 20.92, the 2nd and 1st placers. But can he get beyond that 20-metre mark? And his reaction will tell you all you need to know there, even though it's a white flag. He has not done so. 20.03, his personal best, in Sollentuna earlier this month. But there's a reason he reacted like that. And Jesper Arbinge, you know, he's right on the cutoff really for the European Championships. He's just inside the 30-man quota. He's 27th at the moment. That cutoff, that qualification window will be ending this weekend. And he's currently 47th on the Road to Paris drop-down list with 32 places available. So Arbinge would have been really keen to get maybe a top finish and a big 20 plus metre throw there for his qualification chances. But over to the women's 200 metres. 7 athletes going to the line here. From the inside, lane 2, Elvira Tanderud of Sweden. Lane 3, Phil Healy of Ireland. And we'll start from the outside, given that's the way the camera's going. Lane 8 is Alexa Suljan of Hungary. Lane 7 is Martina Kotvila of Poland. Lane 6, Christine Bieland Jensen of Norway. Lane 5, Imke Vervet of Belgium. Lane 4, Anna Bongiorni of Italy. Lane 3, Phil Healy of Ireland. And Lane 2, Elvira Tanderud of Sweden. Phil Healy and Kotvila and Martina Kotvila are the 2 quickest athletes in the race. Both of them have gone below 23 seconds for the distance, the only 2 to have done that. But Anna Bongiorni as well, another one to look out for. World University Games bronze medalist back in 2017. 23.14 just last weekend in Limassol. 23.12 her best. Imke Vervet as well of Belgium. 23.05 her best. She's in lane 5. And Alexa Suljan, European Under-20 silver medalist last year. 23.12 her best. And she also represented Hungary at the World Championships on home turf in Budapest last year. Away they go. and going very well there in lane 4 is Bonjourney. Absolutely rocketed through that first 50 metres. Bonjourney definitely leads for now. Can Phil Healy or perhaps Cotvila come back at her? But Bonjourney is away and gone. 150 metres into this race. It looks like no one is going to catch the young Italian. Bonjourney powering to the line. Imke Vervat coming through for second, but 23:11 on the clock. Anna Bonjourney wins by a distance there. A hugely impressive run. If that is official, it will be a personal best for Anna Bonjourney. 23:12 her personal previous best. 23:14 her best this year. As I mentioned, a World University Games bronze medalist back in 2017. She helped the Italians to 4th place at the World Championships last year in the 4x100 metres. Anna Bonjourney with a very impressive run there, and you see why she's part of those relays. With that 100 metre speed she utilised to such brilliant effect around that bend, and that will have done her qualification chances no harm whatsoever. She is currently 41st on the Road to Rome rankings with 36 places available, and she is also 64th on the Olympic qualification rankings drop-down list with 48 places available. So Anna Bonjourney, the 30-year-old from Italy, is just outside both cut-off windows at the moment, but a win at this Continental Tour silver meeting and a good time, which it looks like as well, in the low 23 seconds, will have done her a measure of good on the road to both Rome and Paris. Helped Italy to 4x100 metre bronze medals in Oregon a few years ago. 2 years ago. The World Championships. As we see the hurdles being set up. Because next up on track is going to be the women's 100 metre hurdles. Lots of Norwegian talent there. Be going up against Polish talent in the form of Claudio Sicciarz and Claudio Wojciechuk. So the women's 100 metre hurdles is next up on track in about 14 minutes time. But back to the pole vault, because Jakob Witten has cleared, yes, we're seeing it, spoiler alert, 573. That was a brilliant clearance there by Jakob Witten of the US. That is an outdoor season's best for him. So that's his best. Goes 1 centimeter higher than he cleared at the Suzhou Diamond League in China. A brilliant effort there by the 27-year-old American. 582 was his best so far in 2024. That was indoors in Texas earlier this year. Can he perhaps now put the bar up to 583 and really put himself into contention for a spot on that US team? As I mentioned, he has the Olympic standard already, but the depth in US men's pole vaulting is severe. No easy task to be in that top 3 at US trials. So, next action on the infield that will be getting underway is going to be the men's hammer. And this is a loaded men's hammer competition. That's going to be getting underway in about 5 minutes' time. Thomas Mardal of Norway. He was the 2021 NCAA champion, both indoor and outdoor. Graduate of the University of Florida, but that is Bench Halaz of Hungary, one of the favourites here, the 26-year-old World Championships bronze medalist in 2019 and 2023. That, though, is the man of the moment in the men's hammer, Ethan Katzberg, the 22-year-old Canadian, the world champion, who recently threw 84.38 at the Kipkeino Classic in Nairobi. There's a bit of altitude in Nairobi, but you still have to throw 84 metres. It was the longest throw in the world for 16 years by Ethan Katzberg, and he will very much be the favourite. But this man will be looking to put it up to him, Ivan Henriksen of Norway. 81.58 his best. That Norwegian record he threw in the Olympic final in Tokyo to win the silver medal. So we have a world champion, an Olympic silver medalist, and a 2-time world bronze medalist in this men's hammer throw field. A cracking men's hammer throw competition to look forward to. And Ivan Henriksson, very much in the Wimbledon attire there, all white on the night. Season's best is 74.68. It was his only competition of the season so far. That was just last weekend. The Oslo native, the Olympic silver medalist, 33 years old, and he'll be looking to win another Olympic medal, no doubt, this summer. But he'll certainly need to improve on his season's best of 74.68 to try and do that, trying to get up to that 80-meter range that really, I think, everyone would admit would be required at least to get on the podium in Paris. There is Anna Bongiorni. .23.10 confirmation of her winning time with a plus 1.2 wind. There's the result flashing up. Anna Bongiorni, brilliant first 50 metres, really put the race to bed at that point. Imke Vervat takes second in 23.22, and Ireland's Phil Healy third in 23.43. Anna Bongiorni, as I mentioned, is 41st on the Road to Rome rankings, but I suspect that will lift her into the top 36 places she needs, and 64th currently on the Road to Paris rankings, with 48 places available at the Olympic Games over 200 metres. So she'll be looking to break into that top 48. I'm sure she'll have an involvement regardless at the relays. But the 3-time national champion from Italy will certainly want to be in Paris as an individual, and indeed at the European Athletics Championships, which will be so special for all Italian athletes on home turf at the Stadio Olimpico in Rome next month, June 7th to 12th, the European Athletics Championships. So back to the men's pole vault. And this is Jacob Wootton at 5.82. This would equal his season's best. His yearly best, no. Hasn't got it. Not tonight anyway for Jacob Wootton. But he has victory secured in that men's pole vault. Second place will go to Walters Kreis with a best of 5.53. And then third will be Sweden's William Asker with 5.33. Next up on track, as I mentioned, it will be the women's 100-meter hurdles. 7 athletes going to the line there. That's now just about 6 or 7 minutes away. That women's 100-meter hurdles. And then the race many who will be tuning in have been waiting for, and indeed who've showed up at the Fana Stadium in Bergen tonight. The men's 300-meter hurdles is now just over 20 minutes away, and the reappearance of a man who hasn't been seen since the World Indoors in Glasgow, where he just got pipped for gold by Alexander Dome of Belgium. We're looking forward to the reappearance of Karsten Warholm, the Norwegian hero, the Olympic world champion, and indeed the world record holder at 400-meter hurdles, will be opening his outdoor season. It was a late decision with him and coach Leif Olav Alnes earlier this week to take a lane, his favourite lane 7 he'll be in this evening, perhaps going after that world best of 33.26. There is confirmation of the result in the men's shot put. Marcus Thompson held on 20.92, just shy of his best, but it is victory on the night for the Norwegian. We'll be seeing him in action at the European Athletics Championships next month. And as I mentioned, 32 places available at the Paris Olympics. He's currently 29th, so he's within the rankings cutoff as things stand, with about, 5 weeks or so left for athletes to stake their claim for qualification. But a good win tonight for Marcus Thompson, just shy of his best at 21:09. But this is Jacob Wooten. Once again, how high can he go on this men's pole vault? Unsuccessful here. He looks like he might be done for the night. You couldn't blame him, but he has cleared 582 according to the live results. We'll just get confirmation on that. But we are underway in the women's long jump. This is Magdalena Bokun, formerly Magdalena Zabrowska, which many will know her by. Personal best of 671, back from 2021, a Polish champion, and last year's World University Games silver medalist. So we'll see what she has produced there in her opening effort. In fact, this is the second round of the women's long jump. Bokun fouled her first attempt. And no surprises to see India's Shaili Singh lead the way with 598, but as a 676 jumper, lots of room for improvement there. And it was indeed a foul from Magdalena Bokun in that second round. Second place at the moment looks to be Ida Beiter Bom of Denmark. No, it is Liv Hilton of Norway, in fact, with 583, who is second. Then it's Ida Beiter Bom of Denmark with 573. But looking back to the hammer circle, because one of the stars of tonight's action, Ethan Katzberg of Canada, heading into that circle for his first throw. As I mentioned, the reigning world champion in this event and the Pan American champion. 9th on the all-time list he went to back in April, about 4 weeks ago now, since he threw that monster throw in Nairobi. 84.38. What can he produce for the Norwegian fans here tonight? That is the 80-meter line, and it is beyond the 80-meter line. What an opening effort from Katzberg. 22-year-old. We are most of the way through this opening round. The lead currently held by Thomas Mardal of Norway, but Katzberg has just blown that out of the water. What has Katzberg produced here? We're awaiting confirmation for the 22-year-old Canadian, coached these days by Dylan Armstrong. Anyone old enough to remember him? It's not that long ago. He was winning an Olympic medal in the shot put. And now he's turning his expertise to helping other Canadians do the same. Ethan Katzberg will be very tough to keep off the podium, I'm sure, at the Paris Olympics this year. Haven't yet got that measurement, but this is Ivan Henriksen, one of his big rivals on the night. 81.58 his best. 74.68 though his best this year, and that looks to be close to his season's best. Certainly well beyond 70 metres, but looks to be shy of 75. And on my system, that result from Ethan Katzberg has just come through from round 1. 80.47 he has thrown, so a huge effort from Ethan Katzberg. No surprise really, but it is his best in the last few weeks at least. He threw in Poland last weekend and threw 79.12, so he's already up on that tonight at sea level. But this is the field for the women's 100-meter hurdles. from the inside, lane 2, Ingrid Rismark of Norway. Lane 3, Martina Hjornevik of Norway. Lane 4, Claudia Sicciarz of Poland. Lane 5, Lovisa Skarbovik Andresen of Norway. Lane 6, Claudia Wozniacuk of Poland. Lane 7, Ida Baum of Denmark, who is doubling up with the long jump tonight. And then lane 8, Lea Elise Gundersen of Norway. Athletes to watch here. Perhaps Claudia Sicciarz of Poland in lane 4 there. 12:72 at her best. Goes back to 2019. She ran at the Tokyo Olympics. Sorry, she did not run at the Tokyo Olympics. Look at another athlete there, but a 5-time national champion is Claudia Sicciarz. Claudia Wozniacuk as well, the other pole, has also dipped below 13 seconds. Wozniacuk will be going in lane 6 in that Adidas navy strip. She was the European Under-23 bronze medalist back in 2021, was Wozniacuk. And 13:02 just last weekend in Chorzów in Poland. So the lineup from the inside: lane 2, Rismark; lane 3, Hjornevik; lane 4, Sicciarz; lane 5, Skarbovik Andresen; lane 6, Wozniacuk; lane 7, Baum; and lane 8, Gundersen. Away first time and a very good start there by Andresen in lane 5. Looks to be leading at the moment, but Wozniacuk now coming back at her alongside in lane 5. Also going well as Hjornevik in the inside, but it looks a 2-woman race at the moment. It's going to be so tight, and just shading it there was Lovisa Skarbovik Andresen of Norway. 13:02 on the clock. Her personal best was 13:18, so if that is wind legal, Lovisa Skarbovik Andresen of Norway, there's a reason she looks overcome with joy there, because that looks to be a huge personal best for her. We'll await the wind reading. I'm sure she'll be nervously checking the wind reading, having checked the clock. 13:02 unofficially. Andresen with a big win there over her Polish rivals, either side of her, more accomplished athletes. Both of them going below 13 seconds, but Andresen hugely impressive there on home turf. We'll await confirmation of that result, but no doubt about the winner. It was Andresen, just ahead of Wozniacuk. The young Norwegian, a huge breakthrough, 20 years old. What a run from Lovisa Skarbovik Andresen. She won the Nordic Championships just last weekend, set a personal best there of 13:18. But she has just smashed that by the looks of things. There have been some strong gusts though tonight. We'll see what the wind reading is coming through on that. And the next race on track will be the one many have been waiting for, the men's 300-meter hurdles, featuring none other than the Olympic 400-meter hurdles champion and world record holder, Karsten Warholm. So it's been a good night for Norway so far. And Lovisa Skarbovik Andresen there, hugely impressive in taking victory ahead of Claudia Wozniacuk of Poland. But of course, action ongoing in the field with the women's long jump and the men's hammer. And through that first round in the men's hammer, just to confirm, Ethan Katzberg still out front, all alone, no surprises when you throw 80 metres with your opening effort. 80.47 leads the way there. Second place is Ragnar Karlsson of Sweden, who has opened his second round with 73.70, and then back in third for now, just after one round, 73.40 metre throw by Thomas Mardel of Norway. So Lovisa Skarbovik Andresen, the winner in that women's 100-meter hurdles. we're still waiting on official confirmation of that result. But it looks like a big lifetime best. But back to the long jump, because this is Lisa Vilker of Norway. 5.95 her best, which she did on home turf in Oslo back in the summer of 2021. The 20-year-old. Season's best of 5.85. And looking back to the hammer, Ethan Katzberg there walking out of the circle. We'll see what his second round effort was. Opened with that relative monster throw of 80.47. And I say relative, of course, because he has thrown 84 meters 38 this year. As we see confirmation of that result in the men's pole vault with Jacob Wooten going over 5.82 to take victory. Valters Kreis of Latvia taking second with 5.33, and then Sweden's William Asker third with 5.33. Now just about 10 minutes away from that men's 300 meter hurdles, featuring the return of Karsten Warholm opening his season. The last two times he's done that, he's set a world best in the event. 33.78 back in 2020. 33.26, a truly mind-boggling time in 2021. And in just under 10 minutes, he'll be kicking off his outdoor season in the 300 meter hurdles. As we see Jacob Wooten awaiting his prize for that victory, that 5.82 clearance, and a brilliant clearance it was in the men's pole vault. It's an outdoor season's best for him. He also cleared 5.82 indoors this year in College Station, Texas. That was the Olympic standard, and now he's done it outdoors and has vaulted, pun intended, into the conversation for Olympic qualification. But of course, the depth in US men's pole vaulting will likely mean that he'll need higher than 5.82. I'm sure something close to 6 meters will be required to make that US Olympic team, but that will be Jacob Wooten's goal this summer. The 27-year-old from Tomball, Texas, the Texas A&M Aggie. Well, these days, of course, competing in the colors of Nike, his sponsor. That was the men's pole vault. We are through 2 rounds in the men's hammer. And strangely, Ethan Katzberg, we just caught him walking out of the circle for that last throw. He threw 80.47 in his second round. What did he throw in his first round? 80.47. So he's backed that up with brilliant consistency down to the centimetre as we look back on track for the women's long jump. And this is the favourite, Shaili Singh, a national champion 2021. She was the world under-20 silver medalist. What has she produced here? So this is Konstantinos Saltos of Greece in the men's hammer. 74.55 he threw in the second round. This is his third round effort, down in 4th place at the moment. And he's well surpassed the 70 meter line. It looks to be pretty similar to his last throw at 74.55, I would guess, judging off the naked eye. And just checking the results of that women's 100 meter hurdles with a massive personal best there. We suspected it was, and thankfully for Lovisa Skarbovic Andersen, it is wind legal, 0.5 the tailwind for the Norwegian. She has obliterated her personal best, 13.00 to win, ahead of Klaudia Wojciechuk of Poland, 13.02 in second. And then the other Polish Klaudia Siciarz, takes third place in 13.30. And a PB also for Norway's Martina Hjorvanik in 4th place. So this is Thomas Mardell of Norway. 73.40 he opened with. He's down in 5th place at the moment. Fouled his second attempt. What can he produce here in the 3rd round of the men's hammer? His best is 77.97 in Oslo last summer. 76.02 was his season's best at the Nordic Championships just last weekend. As you can see, it's well shy of that, just beyond 70 meters. 73.40 was his opening effort, so it's not going to be an improvement on that if those lines, measurement lines, the arc, if they are reliable. Great close up there on that remote controlled car, returning things. One of the best jobs in the sport, whoever gets to operate that. But very much in command in that men's hammer, Ethan Katzberg with 80.47. And it's just come through there that Thomas Mardell has thrown 70.62 in that 3rd round. Next into the circle will be Hungary's Bench Halas, one of the big contenders. Here is Halas. What can he produce here? 72.93 his opening round effort. Fouled the 2nd round. Can he get up beyond 75? It's close to 75, very close to it from Bench Halas, the world bronze medalist in 2019 and 2023. His best, 80.92, that goes back to the European Championships in Munich 2 years ago when he won a silver medal. But he hasn't had good luck at the Olympics. He went out in qualification in Tokyo. Can he fare better this summer, Bench Halas? So memorably won that bronze medal in Budapest last year. The home crowd went crazy that night in the stadium. 76.71 is Halash's best this summer. Early days, of course, in the summer. That was back in March he threw that. He threw 75.18 in Chorzów, Poland last weekend. And this evening, Bench Halas has just thrown 74.05. So that keeps him in 5th place. This man's the favourite. 80.47 in the 1st round, 80.47 in the 2nd round. Ethan Katzberg, he couldn't do it again, could he? Out it goes. It's pretty close to it once again. Ethan Katzberg. I think that might be an 81 plus meter throw there from the 22-year-old Canadian. The crowd very happy with that. Great to see a world champion in action. And you know, when you look at Wojciech Nowicki and Pavel Fidek, 2 men in their mid-30s, and then you look to this man, the 22-year-old, he became the youngest ever world hammer champion last year in Budapest. Really does look like an athlete who could take over this event. Well, I guess he's already taken over it with that world gold medal, but he could maintain that dominance for some years to come, especially when he unleashed a throw like that 84.38 earlier this year in Nairobi. And that is an 81.98 meter effort in that 3rd round. So brilliant stuff from Ethan Katzberg. Closer to 82 than 81, like I said. But here is Even Henriksen of Norway. What can he strike back with? 74.74 his best. Coming in the 2nd round. Let's fly. And it's well beyond 70. But perhaps shy of his best of 74.74. So Henriksen will stay in 3rd place. Ragnar Karlsson of Sweden in 2nd at the moment with 75.04. But all trailing the brilliance of Ethan Katzberg, the 22-year-old Canadian in dominant form. He's won his both his competitions this year, and he looks like to be well on the way to victory here. 74, 78, 68 he threw last weekend. Sorry, I was looking at Henriksen's bio there. 79.12 he threw last weekend in Chorzów. Did Katzberg. 84.38 in Nairobi last month. And Katzberg in command at the halfway stage of the men's hammer with that 81.98 meter effort. So in the women's long jump, we are in the 4th round. And it is Magdalena Bokun of Poland who jumped 6:05 to seize command in the 3rd round, just ahead of Shaili Singh of India. And that was Thale Learfall Bremset of Norway down in 7th place at the moment with 5:62. She fouled her 2nd and 3rd jumps, so we'll see if that can be an improvement for her. But looking back on the track, because there is a name many will have wanted to see tonight, in lane 7, his favourite lane, Karsten Warholm. We could go on all day about his bio, but he is, of course, the fastest 400-metre hurdler in history, a 3-time world champion, a 26-time Norwegian champion at the age of 28. He has 2 European indoor gold medals, 2 European outdoor gold medals, of course 3 world titles, and most importantly of all, Olympic gold. The men alongside him, Andreas Hara Bakutun of Norway, 36:54 is his best for the distance. So he's the 2nd quickest after Warholm. This man is the quickest behind Warholm. Herman Ellingsen, 36:19 his best for the 300-metre hurdles. And then Andreas Dixon of Norway. 3 Norwegians against Warholm here. 38:08 is his best. But of course, Karsten Warholm has run 33:26 for this distance. No one in history has ever gone anywhere near that. And of course, no one has ever really gone anywhere near his 400-metre hurdles best. There is his coach, smiling, looking very relaxed. Well, from coaching to photography. Maybe he's just doing that as a hobby. Maybe it's actually for research purposes. They'll be, I'm sure, digesting the video of this. When Karsten Warholm ran at the Impossible Games in Oslo in a deserted Bislett Stadium for this distance, he ran a world best of 33:78 back in 2020. A year later, he showed up at the night of highlights at Bislett Stadium and ran 33:26. No crowd there again. He does have his home crowd here tonight. 33:26, remember, is the world best, but he's opening his season. We don't know where he's at, but we're about to find out. Away they go, and no surprise to see Warholm rocket away to that first hurdle. Only 7 hurdles here in this race rather than the usual 10 for Warholm, and as expected, he has ripped through that first 100 metres or so. Bakutun also going well, looks to be in 2nd at the moment, but this is a one-man race against the clock. Karsten Warholm ripping around the bend, perhaps inspired by those world leads over 400-metre hurdles from Alison Dos Santos and then Rai Benjamin. They made statements in recent weeks, but Warholm wants to make one tonight. He is powering to the finish on home turf in Bergen. Karsten Warholm, 33:29 unofficial. He is 300 metres shy of his world best of 33:26. We will await confirmation of the official result, but Karsten Warholm has opened his outdoor season with a bang. It could just be adjusted. It might be very close to that world best of 33:26. Karsten Warholm wearing the Puma Berserker spike, as they call it. He was involved in the development of that. Keep your eyes on him there, powering out, just coming up early out of that drive phase, as hurdlers have to do to get a sight of that first hurdle. Truly ripping around. You can see there he's probably running more like a 110-metre hurdler as he clears those barriers rather than the 400-metre hurdles, given the speed he's moving at. But Karsten Warholm, absolutely dominant once again. 33:28. It is confirmed that he is just 0.02 of a second shy of his world best, but what a start to the outdoor season for Karsten Warholm. Personal best for 2nd as well by Andreas Hara Bakutun, 35:42, and then Herman Ellingsen taking 3rd with 36:72. But remember, Karsten Warholm in 2021 opened his season in June at the night of highlights in Oslo with 33:26 for 400-metre hurdles. He went on a course to run 45:94 and win the Olympic title in Tokyo. So he's just 0.02 of a second off that. And it's still late May, so we'd probably expect him to be slightly less sharp perhaps than he was in 2021 when he ran that. But what a start to the outdoor season for Karsten Warholm. As I mentioned, the world lead at 400-metre hurdles by Rai Benjamin in Los Angeles last weekend, 46:64. Before that, Alison dos Santos, the 2022 world champion, started his season with a bang, 46.86 to win in Doha. Two statements by his big rivals, and Karsten Warholm has struck back with a statement of his own tonight. 33.28 it is to take victory on home turf at the Trond Mohn Games in Bergen. Warholm is from Ulsteinvik. It's a small town also on the west coast of Norway. It's about 220 kilometers or so north of Bergen as the crow flies. Recently returned from a warm weather training camp in Spain. I see his coach there, Leif Olav Alnes, down to greet him, and I'm sure he'll have got some good photos or video footage from the start. But back to the women's long jump. And it is Shaila Singh, the 20-year-old rising star of Indian long jumping. 5.99 her best in second place, entering this fourth round. 6.05 is the mark to beat by Magdalena Bukon. Men's hammer, Konstantinos Zaltos of Greece, 74.55 his best. To date, we're in the fourth round of the men's hammer. But this is the leader in the women's long jump, Magdalena Bukon. As I mentioned, World University Games silver medalist last year. 6.71 her best. Jumping into slight headwinds tonight. Just looking down at the wind readings. Kind of minus 1.0 seems to be about the average. So not ideal for these jumpers. But what can Magdalena Bukon produce here in round 4? And she will need to produce something, because confirmation coming through that Shaila Singh has jumped 6.10 in that previous round to swoop to the lead. So Bukon will need a 5 centimeter improvement to maintain the lead there in round 4. Regain the lead, I should say. Confirmation of that almost world best by Karsten Warholm. 0.02 of a second shy. I'm sure that will annoy him, but I suppose you can't be disappointed when you blow the dust off with a time like that. Because if you were to extend that to the 400 meter hurdles, it would probably be in the low to mid 46 second range. It is quite the statement performance by Karsten Warholm. And remember, we'll get a much better idea at the Bislett Games, at the One the Diamond League meeting in Oslo next Thursday, where he'll be taking on Alison dos Santos and Chiron McMaster. That will be a mouth-watering clash. And I'm sure Rai Benjamin will be watching from across the world in California what those two men, his two chief rivals for gold in Paris, do. But Warholm will be looking forward to seeing him at the European Championships in Rome next month, on the path to perhaps successfully defending his Olympic title in Paris. When he's healthy, he tends to win. The only time he showed up subpar at a World Championships was 2022, having torn his hamstring in Morocco earlier that year. He was beaten there. He went for gold once again, as he always does, but he lost too much training to really contend. But when this man is healthy, he wins. That's the way it goes. And Karsten Warholm has been on such a dominant run, and all of Norway and really anyone in the world of athletics will be hoping he stays healthy over these next 2.5 months or so, and we will get the showdown the athletics world wants in that men's 400 meter hurdles in Paris. Brilliant start to the season for Karsten Warholm. Next up on track, though, as you'll see there with the starting blocks, it is the second section of the men's 400 meters, but back to the hammer for now, because the world champ, one of the stars of the event here, Ethan Katzberg, is into the circle. 81.98 his best in round 3. What can the 22-year-old Canadian produce here? I believe that's his best throw at sea level ever. that 84-meter monster throw earlier on this year in Nairobi, coming at altitude. And that is again beyond 80 meters, well beyond 80 meters. Is it beyond 81 meters? I think it's not quite an improvement on the 81.98. But it's nonetheless another brilliant effort by Ethan Katzberg. And when you see athletes like this, he's produced 4 throws now over 80 meters. And when you have consistency like that, it's often just a matter of time before the big one comes along where you really hit it perfectly. He's from Nanaomia in British Columbia. Started hammer throwing at the age of 14 when watching his father coach his older sister. And what a story that has been, becoming the youngest ever world champion. But this is Lisa Vilker on the long jump runway, 5.95 her best. 5.67 her best on the night. And in that 4th round, she currently sits in 5th position. So, back to the hammer. And Thomas Mardell of Norway, 73.40 his best. This evening, I should say. He's in 6th position at the moment. Bence Halas, we missed this throw, but he hoisted himself up to 2nd position in the men's hammer. As we see Karsten Warholm talking with Coach Life. Those Puma Berserker spikes, as they're called. It's an interesting name for a pair of spikes. They're put into safekeeping. He's one of the best follows on Instagram, is Karsten Warholm. He's an excellent social media presence. Great wit and humour. And given people said those Puma Berserker spikes looked a bit weird when they came out because they have these flaps coming off the toes, he decided to strike back at the criticism and open a can of beer with them, or a bottle of beer with them, using the sort of bladed surface, the rippled soles that they have. But a great night's work for Karsten Warholm. The dust is firmly blown off. Not that there was any dust to blow off. But Karsten Warholm will be heading to the Bislett Games in Oslo, that famed Bislett Stadium, next Thursday, for a mouth-watering showdown with Kyron McMaster and especially Alison dos Santos, who himself, I'm sure, will be in even better form than the 46.86 he ran in Doha earlier this month. But back to the women's long jump. And it is Ida Viter Bom of Denmark. We saw her in action in the hurdles. 6.28 her best. Her PB, I should say, in the long jump. 5.78 her previous best on the night. That came in the opening round of this. We'll see if she can improve. The lead there in that long jump still been held by Magdalena Bokun of Poland at 6.15. She did strike back and regain the lead ahead of Shaili Singh, who's in 2nd on 6.10. But next up on track, it is the men's 400 meters. This is the A race in the men's 400 meters, even though it says Heat 2. But we can call this the A race because there's some very quick athletes in here. Chief among them, Kajetan Dushinsky. He'll be going in lane 7, 44.92 his best, but that dates back to 2021. Gustav Nielsen of Denmark, he's run 45.66, ran that at the World Championships in Budapest. He'll be going in lane 5. Benjamin Lobo of Denmark will be another big contender on the outside lane, 45.50 his best. He ran 46 flat in Pretoria, South Africa earlier this year. The Sparta Athletic athlete. Andreas Grimmerud as well of Norway should be another contender. He ran his PB of 45.90 to win the Nordic Championships in Malmo last weekend. He's a 3-time outdoor 400 meter champion. The 20-year-old Norwegian, look out for him in lane 6. Another talented athlete from Sweden, Kasper Kadistal, should also feature strongly here. 46.54 his best, which he ran to finish 2nd at the Nordic Championships in Malmo last weekend. He was a European under-18 silver medalist several years ago. And he's a 3-time Swedish indoor champion, is Kadistal. Andreas Hara Bakatun is a late withdrawal, I see. He was provisionally on the start list. Great to see the young fans turning up in Bergen tonight at the Fana Stadium for the Trond Mohn games. And I'm sure a large majority of them came to watch the man they just saw, Karsten Warholm. But back to the long jump, because Magdalena Bokun, who is in front, 5 centimetre lead. Shaili Singh in the 5th round fouled her most recent attempt. Bokun does not look impressed by that. Is it an improvement? 6:15, her best so far. And I'm sure Mr. Warholm, if he's doing a cool down, might have to postpone it by quite some time, because there's lots of autograph hunting or selfie hunting youngsters around who will be looking to him like the athletic god that many see him is around the world. But next up on track is going to be the men's 400 metres. 8 athletes going to the line. After that, not long after that, it'll be the men's 3,000 metres, featuring another Norwegian star, another track medalist in the form of Narve Nordas. But he'll have a tough test there from a very talented young Ethiopian, Mezigebu Sime, in that 3,000 metre clash. And then we'll have the women. That's not long away. It's scheduled for 8:20 local time, but I think it's going to be a bit late given we have this 400 metres to run. And then after that, it'll be the women's 300 metres coming up at 8:34, the final track event of the evening. So it's the men's 400, followed by the men's 3K, and then the women's 300 metres for a fast and furious finish to the Trond Mohn games. But of course, action ongoing in the field as well, with that women's long jump and men's hammer throw. And just to confirm, as we get a shot of the local police, not too much policing needs to be done. Very relaxed atmosphere here this evening. And just to confirm, that women's long jump, that 5th round effort for Magdalena Bokun was 6 meters 10, so no improvement, but it just solidifies her position, because her second best jump is now as good as Shaili Singh's second best jump. Or her best jump, I should say. Singh's best jump is 6:10. Could be crucial on countback if Singh manages to produce a bigger effort in the 6th and final round, but just one chance to do that in that women's long jump, and right now Bokun has command. Checking on the men's hammer as well, also in the 5th round. Ethan Katzberg maintaining his dominance with 81.98. Second place, Bench Halas has improved his best on the evening, 75.81. Halas, the world medalist, but he's still over 6 meters adrift of the main man in men's hammer throwing at the moment, Ethan Katzberg. And I'm sure a couple of Poles will be watching keenly to see how he fares tonight in Wojciech Nowicki and Paweł Fajdek, 2 men who have split so many global titles amongst them over the last decade or 15 years or so. They've been at the top of the game, but it looks like it might be the time of Ethan Katzberg, the 22-year-old Canadian. How long can he stay at the top 4? So we're counting down here. I'm sure the officials just had a bit of gremlins in the system there that held things up, but this is the field for the A section of the men's 400 metres. This is Benjamin Lobo of Denmark in the outside lane, 45.50 his best. That was set back at the Europeans in 2022 to win his heat, but then he unfortunately had to pull out of the semi-final. That's Kashitan Dusinski, 44.92 his best. 46.62 is his best this year. Look out for Andreas Grimmerud, the 20-year-old from Norway, 3-time national champion. 45.90 his best to win the Nordic Championships. This is Gustav Nielsen of Denmark, 45.66, his best. Ran last year at the World Championships. Kasper Kadestal of Sweden has run 46.54 to win silver at the Nordic Championships last weekend, his PB. Frederick Gulaksen of Norway, 47.58, his best. He'll be up against it here, against the men in the lanes outside him. And then on the inside, or lane 2, Thomas Stronstad Loseth. Lane 1 is in fact empty. That was supposed to be Tobias Johansson, but Stronstad Loseth will be running in lane 2. So perhaps the man to watch might be the 20-year-old. That man in the shot, Andreas Grimmerud from Norway, but should be very even here. But that personal best of 45.90 to win the Nordic Championships, that is a piece of form that you can't ignore, and it was done just last weekend. The 3-time Norwegian champion, he goes in lane 6. Away first time, and it looks a pretty even start as that stagger starts to unwind. Grimmerud definitely going well in lane 6, but Dushinsky in the lane outside him, and indeed Lobo on the very outside, have also gone off hard. And perhaps there in lane number 4, Kasper Kadestal of Sweden looks to have gone hardest of all over this first 200, but it's pretty even. And as I mentioned, Andreas Grimmerud, perhaps the man to watch, the Nordic champion from last weekend, looks to have seized command here around this second bend. And Grimmerud turns for home in front, but Gustaf Nielsen coming back at him there in lane 5. But it looks like Andreas Grimmerud on his way to victory here, the 20-year-old rising star of Norwegian athletics, 45.93, just shy of his personal best, which he ran last weekend of 45.90. But Andreas Grimmerud with a commanding performance there on home turf to keep Norway at the top of the podium and the presentation ceremonies tonight. It's another win for the hosts. Andreas Grimmerud of Norway, 45.93 unofficially. We will await confirmation on the official time. It may well challenge his personal best. This is Thale Lerfal Bremset of Norway. Her best in the long jump tonight was 5.64. We're in the 6th and final round. She's down in 7th place at the moment. Her twin sister Thea Lerfal Bremset was also due to compete tonight, but I think was a late withdrawal from this. So just Thale keeping the representation up for the siblings, the twin sisters, here this evening. 5.64 her best, 7th place. Can she improve on that? Next up on track is going to be the men's 3,000 metres. That was due to get underway a few minutes ago, so I'm sure they'll be rushing them to the start line, so we stay on schedule. This is Hannah Rebecca Murayabi of Norway, 5.66 in the first and second rounds. That's her best so far this evening. She is in 7th place. And if you're wondering why I also said that Thale Lerfal Bremset was in 7th place, it's because she was before she jumped that last one. But she has moved up to 6th because she jumped a best on the night of 5.67 to move up to 6th place. We'll see what Murai Ubi has managed there, if she can strike back. She's back down to 7th. And we're well into the 6th round as well in the men's hammer. Konstantinos Zaltos is next up, but as we've said throughout that competition, the victory looks to be headed one way, and it is to Canada, because Ethan Katzberg with that 81.98 monster throw. But back to the long jump. This is Ida Bom of Denmark. 2 valid efforts tonight. She had to skip out of the 2nd and 3rd round to go and run the 100-meter hurdles, but she came back into things in the 4th round. 5.78 she opened with. A foul in the 5th round. Can she improve on that here? Ida Bom. She has 5 national titles in total for Denmark. Her best in the long jump is 6.28. That was set indoors in February. Can she get up to the 6-meter mark here although they're jumping into the headwinds, so that is much easier said than done. So 2 track races coming up to finish things off at the Trond Mohn Games. The men's 3,000 metres and the women's 300 metres, they'll both have lots of strong Norwegian representation, indeed, against strong international opposition. In the men's 3,000 metres, of course, Narve Gilge Nordas, the World Championships 1,500 metre bronze medalist last year, 5th at the World Indoors in Glasgow, a 5-time national champion and a big contender, certainly in the 1,500 metres, perhaps even in the 5,000 metres. We'll get a better impression on his chances tonight in that men's 3,000 metres. And then in the women's 300 metres to finish things off, the likes of Ireland's Phil Healy and a strong Canadian trio of Lauren Gale, Madeleine Price, Alyssa Marsh will be going up against Norwegian star Henrietta Jaeger. But back to the long jump and Liv Hilton, who has fouled 4 out of 5 of her attempts, but her one valid effort was a good one. She's in 5th place at the moment with 5.83. What has she produced here? Confirmation there of that 45.90 for Andreas Grimmerund. That equals his personal best, so he's run the exact same time he ran to win the Nordic title in Malmo last weekend. The 20-year-old Norwegian very much on the rise. Good run too from Kasper Katesdal there in 2nd of Sweden, 46.55. And Denmark's Gustav Nielsen takes 3rd in 46.63. That was Heat 2, and we'll call it the A race of the men's 400 metres. Brilliant win there for Andreas Grimmerud. And you see him atop the podium, a 20-year-old with a very bright future. But of course, no shortage of talent in Norwegian 400 metre running at the moment. Back to the long jump, and this is Lisa Vilker of Norway, 5.90 her best on the night. The 6th and final round, she's just been taken over for 3rd place, demoted to 4th because Liv Hilton jumped 5.93 in that final round. Can Vilker strike back and get into the podium positions back in that top 3? 5.90 her best so far this evening. I'll give you that result whenever I have it. But it looks like we're turning our attention towards the track and a really good quality men's 3,000 metres. We'll hope the wind has died down a little bit at the Fana Stadium in Bergen. A truly beautiful part of the world. There in that blue vest towards the right of your shot is Narve Gilje Nordas. And there is his coach, Gjert Ingebrigtsen. He's come from the half marathon, stepped down towards the 5k. He was running 5ks and 10ks was Nordas, but he's focused more on the 1,500 metres over the last year with spectacular results. But he's not going to have it easy here because there is some serious talent from East Africa in this, and one of them is that man there in that blue vest is one to watch for sure. Mezigebu Sime, 18-year-old Ethiopian, 2nd at the World Under-20 cross country in Belgrade earlier on this year, and 13.03 for 5,000 metres just last week in France. That sets a very formidable standard, but Narve Nordas on home turf in Bergen will be very keen to win one for the Norwegians here and underline his potential for winning medals at the European Championships next month and indeed the Paris Olympics in August. So they set off the pacemakers. We'll see what kind of time they're chasing. Nordas's personal best is 7:41. That goes back to 2021. But he's also run 7:41. Sorry, yes, he did in fact set his personal best this year indoors in March in Madrid, did Nordas, 7:41.28. But he's certainly an athlete. I mean, he's run 13:05 for 5,000 metres on the track. He's run 3:29 last year for 1,500 metres. So he is an athlete capable of going much, much, much quicker than his current best of 7:41. As indeed, of course, is Ethiopia's Mezigebu Sime there on the left of your shot. The 18-year-old, 7:40, his best. He ran that also indoors this year in Liévin in France, but he ran, of course, 13:03 for 5,000 meters just last week. So can he back that up? Can he perhaps defeat the Norwegian hero here, who many will be keen to hang around and see how he gets on? Narve Gilge Nordas, one of the real breakthrough stories in recent years in world distance running, to win that World Championship bronze medal last year. He said before that he's talentless, which I think he's finally reneged on eventually and admitted he does have a level of talent after he won that bronze medal and ran a 3:29 1500 meter last year. But he is, as he describes himself, the slowest man to run sub 3:30 for 1500 meters, because he's not blessed with great natural pace, but he has fantastic endurance. And really, the way the 1500 meters is run these days, it becomes almost more like a 3K, especially at championships where you have that effect of cumulative fatigue through the rounds. And Nordas, you have to be strong, and Nordas certainly is that. And they have passed 800 meters there in about 2:02. So a very healthy pace being laid down here, about 7:37 pace at the moment. It looks like they're going to be running about 61 seconds. Seamhead just already grimacing there in third, as we see Nordas looking so composed and relaxed back in 5th place at the moment. But it is pacemakers leading things out as it stands. Dawit Sayar of Eritrea is also in here. Look out for him. He's back in 5th place at the moment, I think. Dawit Sayar, he will be a contender for sure, the 19-year-old Eritrean. He was 4th at the World Road Running Championships last year over 5 kilometers. He's run 7:46 for 3,000 meters and 13:28 for 5,000 meters. That was in Stockholm just last week. But given that 4th place finish at the World Road Championships in Riga last year, he's certainly going to be capable of much, much quicker than 13:28 or indeed 7:46. But can he smash 7:40 and get into the 7:30s here this evening? As we're approaching the halfway point, 4 laps to run now as they're coming up. And the pacemaker has done a good job. He has kept things steady here. We'll see what kind of pace we're on. We'll get a much better idea very soon as they come up with 4 laps to run. It is Wilberforce Kones in 2nd place there. He was not initially on the start list, so a late addition is Kones. He has a personal best. He's better known as a steeplechaser, but a good 1500 meter runner as well. 3:43 his best. He's running 8:21 steeplechase as Kones. As we see there, the shot of Gjert Ingebrigtsen looking pensive. And he's turned his back on this race for the moment, but perhaps a few nerves as he watches his protege, Narve Gilde Nordas, run with these 3 formidable East African runners. And he's running well at the moment. But you would have to say, given that 3:29 last year, given that world bronze medal, he is the accomplished man in this field, is Nordas. He is the most decorated athlete in here, and he is on home turf in Norway, and he will not want to surrender, as we see the 2nd pacemaker, Kones, step aside. And now it is down to 3. And they are Mezagebu Sime of Ethiopia. And then from Eritrea in 2nd. That is... 1 second, I've just lost that. That is, sorry, Dawit Sayar is in 2nd place. And then Narve Nordas. Yeah, he's showing up on the system as Ethiopian as Sayar, but he is, of course, Eritrean. There are 2 teenagers out front, 18-year-old out front, 19-year-old in 2nd, and then it is Narve Nordas in 3rd. 5 laps done, 5:07 on the clock through 2 kilometers, but they can definitely close from here with 2.5 laps to run. And Sime is pushing things along, and Nordas will be quite happy about this. Sime is really keeping the pressure on here. But he has yet to get rid of the 2 men behind him, who are Dawit Sayar of Eritrea and, of course, Narve Nordas of Norway. They look to be all on for personal best. Sayar's personal best is 7:46. Nordas's is 7:41. While Sime's is 7:40. So they're probably going to be able to pick it up a bit from here. They're on about just outside 7:40 pace at the moment. But you can be sure there'll be a kick coming Arve Nordas 13:05, his best for 5,000 metres, and of course that 3:29 1500 metre speed from last summer. He looks to be almost tripping over himself there with 600 metres to run, 6:09 on the clock. So I think they'll be able to close well under 90 seconds from here. So we're probably looking at something in the high 7:30s and 3 lifetime bests over 3,000 metres for these 3 men. But it's not about the clock so much as it is a race. All these men will be getting ready for national trials and major championships in the weeks and months ahead. And it's just about racing. And Nordas absolutely saunters there up to the shoulder of Sime. Sayar now demoted to third. He's in a little bit of a box, but whenever Nordas chooses to strike, Sayar may be able to go with him and just get in that slipstream. But at the moment, it is Sime, the 18-year-old Ethiopian, second at the World Cross Country in the under-20 race in Belgrade earlier this year. 13:03 for 5,000 metres last year. This would be a great test for Nordas against an athlete in low 13-minute shape. What shape is he in? Because he has left him sitting now with 2:50 to run. But he has a threat from behind, and it is the Eritrean. David Sayar of Eritrea is right on him, fourth at the World Road Running Championships last year. The 19-year-old from Eritrea is putting it up to Norwegian on home turf. What has Nordas got left? At the World Championships last year, he had an incredibly strong finish to get up for that medal, and he looks to have unleashed it again here on home turf in Bergen. It is Narve Nordas pulling clear. Such an impressive showing. There could be many medals in this man's future, but he's got the win tonight. 7:35 on the clock. Narve Nordas, the world bronze medalist, takes victory on home turf in Bergen. It was Sayar coming through for second, the 19-year-old Eritrean. He'll have smashed his personal best as well. And then back in third, it was Mezigebu Sime, and Nordas doesn't even look out of breath after that. Such an impressive run. And he and Geert Ingebrigtsen, they've really had a solid start to the season here with 2 wins. He had a win recently over 1,500 metres as well. And he is in fantastic form. A lot of the big guns of the 1,500 metres and mile world will be racing later on this week at the Prefontaine Classic, the Eugene Diamond League over a mile. But Narve Nordas has definitely announced himself that he is in fantastic form early on in the season. And I'm sure he'll be eyeing up that 1,500 metres and 5,000 metre double. But he will be a man to look out for at the Olympic Games this summer, and indeed the European Championships next month. You see there, that is no ordinary athlete, Mezigebu Sime, who he has just gone past on that back straight. That is a man who ran 13:03 for 5,000 metres last week. And Nordas ran past him with 2:50 to run as if he was standing still. Grew up doing a lot of manual labour, so very much the outdoor lifestyle for Narve Nordas on his uncle's farm between the ages of 6 and 19. He's from just outside Sandnes, the home of the Ingebrigtsens, hence the coaching link-up with father Geert, who has coached him. Confirmation there of that result in the men's hammer throw. Ethan Katzberg of Canada. He'll be taking 2 steps up to that number 1 rostrum to get his winner's prize and his bouquet of flowers. 81.98. Brilliant stuff from Ethan Katzberg. 22 years young. What a performance tonight. Over 84 metres already this year. Ethan Katzberg, who is going to stop him at the Olympic Games in Paris if he stays healthy, given he's throwing over 84 metres in April and pretty much 82 metres at sea level. Of course, just mentioning that, given the less air resistance at altitude where he threw that 84 metres in Nairobi, helps any of the throwers and indeed sprinters, not so much the distance runners for obvious reasons, given the lack of oxygen. So there's just one race left on track, and it is the women's 300 metres. And we'll be seeing here Phil Healy from Ireland on the outside lane, doubling back. It's only been about an hour since that. Women's 200 metres. What can she produce here from the outside lane? But she'll be up against it because there's a lot of strength in this field. Naomi van der Broek there of Belgium in lane 2 will be one to watch for sure. She's run 51.62 for 400 metres. 37.39 for 300. That goes back to 2021. Lauren Gale of Canada, 24-year-old, will certainly be one to watch there as well in lane 5. She ran 36.48 indoors earlier this year for this distance, but that was on an oversized track. She's run 51.30 though for 400 metres. But perhaps the athlete to watch most of all will be in lane 4, Henriette Jager of Norway. She was the European under-23 silver medalist at this distance. Sorry, not at this distance, at 400 metres last summer. She was 4th in the World Under-20 Championships back a couple of years ago. And she was also a 3-time outdoor national champion and a 4-time indoor champion, all at the age of just 20. A 51.03 athlete is Henriette Jager, a real rising star of Norwegian 400 metre running. She ran that national record in September last year. Also ran a national indoor record last year, 51.05. And Jager is in fine form, having won at the Nordic Championships just last weekend in 22.58 for 200 metres. So look out for her. She has the Norwegian record at 36.62, and I'm sure that will be on her mind, especially the way she's been running over 200 metres recently. And there is Henriette Jager, the 20-year-old rising star of Norwegian 400 metre running. But from the outside, this is Phil Healy from Ireland. She has a total of 16 national titles, 8 indoors, 8 outdoors, an Olympian. Helped Ireland to the mixed relay 8th place at the Tokyo Olympics. This is Madeleine Price of Canada. She was helped Canada to 4th place in the Tokyo Olympics in the women's 4x4. Inside her then is Elisa Marsh, also of Canada, 36.77, her best. And then another Canadian, Lauren Gale, a national champion, 36.48, as I mentioned, indoors on that oversized track. But perhaps the favourite is Henriette Jager of Norway. She'll have those 3 dangerous Canadians in the lanes outside her. Look out for her. Then there's Lakari Ertsgaard of Norway, 38.20, her best for 300 metres, back 2 years old now, but she's run 52.70 for 400 metres. Then Naomi Vandenbroek of Belgium. She was 6th in the World Championships in Oregon 2 years ago. 51.62 is her best for 400 metres. 37.39 for this distance. And then on the inside from Norway, Laura van der Veen has a best for 400 metres of 54.09. She's never run a 300. So she'll certainly have a personal best awaiting at the finish. But that perhaps is the athlete to watch, Henriette Jager. Lane 4 with 3 very dangerous Canadians in the lanes outside of her. Lane 5, Lauren Gale. Lane 6, Elisa Marsh. And lane 7, Madeleine Price. And Phil Healy from Ireland as a 51.50 athlete will also be very dangerous from that outside lane, but we'll see how much fatigue she's carrying from the 200 metres. But Henriette Jager has really blasted through this first 70-80 metres here in that orange strip. On the inside, these 5 athletes, not much to choose between them, but it looks like Jager has the lead at the moment. Gale, Marsh and Price, the 3 Canadians, all bunched with Phil Healy there in the battle for second. Going well there in lane 2 is Naomi Vandenbroek in Belgium. But the winner, the leader, as she powers down the home straight, is Henriette Jager of Norway, the 20-year-old rising star. This could be a national record. I think it will be. 35.48 on the clock. She has obliterated the Norwegian 300 metre record that she held at 36.62. Henriette Jager, what a start to her season it's been. Nordic champion last weekend, a winner at the Trond Mohn Games in a huge Norwegian 300 metre record, unofficially at the moment, but we'll wait for the official confirmation. But there's no doubt about this. She's going to be well under that. Takes over a second off her Norwegian 300 metre record. And you have to wonder, what might she do when she steps up to the 400? Set that Norwegian record last year at 51.03. The rising star, disbelief, the best kind of disbelief on her face there as she crosses the line. Henriette Jager, what a performance. And she'll have to catch her breath quickly because the broadcasters are waiting for a chat. So we'll await official confirmation for that. And it looks like it's just coming through. 35.46 for Henriette Jager. She takes victory with ease ahead of Lauren Gale of Canada, 36.53. She ran for second. And I believe that might be an official Canadian record, given that 36.48 earlier this year was on an oversized track. I think the Canadian record was 36.94 by Kyra Constantine. As we see the presentation for the women's long jump, Magdalena Bokun taking victory there with that 6.15 jump. 6.16, sorry. Shaili Singh of India, second with 6.12. And then Liv Hilton of Norway took third with 5.93. So good jumping by them, all into headwinds, as I mentioned. So not ideal conditions, but some valuable bonus placing points picked up by all those athletes, given this is a World Athletics Continental Tour silver event. And confirmation that Henrietta Jager has smashed the Norwegian record over 300 meters. I think we're allowed to call it a record, given it's a national record, not a best. Karsten Warholm going so close to the world best for 300 meter hurdles, just 200ths of a second off. But Henrietta Jager has obliterated the Norwegian record for 300 meters. As I mentioned, it was 36.62. She has taken almost 1.2 seconds off it, and there is confirmation of the result in the men's 3,000 meters. Narve Gilje Roth Nordas takes victory in 7:35. It is a big personal best, but of course anyone who's followed this man's progression in recent years knows he's capable of much, much quicker than 7:35, and the way he ran that, the way he just shifted through the gears in those closing laps and left some very, very good athletes behind him, shows you that Narve Nordas is capable of much, much more. And we'll be seeing him in action in the weeks ahead in more severe tests of his talent and his work. He's a renowned trainer of the double threshold method with that Norwegian method. Wasn't invented by Gjert Ingebrigtsen, but was certainly popularized by him across the world, doing double threshold on a Tuesday and Thursday, one session in the morning, one session in the evening. Runs about 110 to 120 miles a week. It's about 160 kilometers to 100, well, close to 200 kilometers. An exponent of that high volume aerobic training, and is certainly paying dividends for Narve Nordas. Takes the win tonight at the Trond Mohn Games. A reminder that European Athletics will be streaming at least 36 meetings. This will be one of them from the World Athletics Continental Tour. All the silver, bronze and challenger events, many of those will be available on the European Athletics platforms, whether it's through the website or Facebook and YouTube. Keep your eyes peeled to the European Athletics social media channels for details of those. And we do see an athlete who has hit the deck there on the track just after that women's 300 meters. Let's hope she's all right. Medics are out swiftly. But it's been a wonderful evening at the Trond Mohn Games in Bergen at the World Athletics Continental Tour Silver event. A brilliant national record for Henrietta Jager to finish things on the track. A superb, just under 82 meter throw from Ethan Katzberg to win that men's hammer throw. And of course the unforgettable run by Karsten Warholm, coming up just 200ths of a second shy of his own world best in the men's 300 meter hurdles. Confirmation there of that result in the women's 300 meters. A good double on the night there for Phil Healy as well, having run 23.4 I think it was earlier in the 200 meters. Comes back to run 37.04 there. That is a personal best for her, a big personal best for 300 meters, 37.56, and she did it on tired legs, so great to see her back running well. Naomi Vandenbroek there with a 36.94 in second. That's also a big personal best, or in third, big personal best for her. And Lauren Gale, 36.53 for second. And again, just shy of that 36.48 she ran on the oversized track, indoor track, earlier on this year in February. But that race really was all about Henrietta Jager A fantastic performance. 36.62, her previous best. She obliterates that. The European under-23 silver medalist last year looks to be going on to much bigger and much better things this summer with the European Championships in Rome and, of course, the Olympic Games in Paris firmly on the horizon. Given that was the final track event, I think we can sign off. From me, Cathal Dennehy, it's been a pleasure to have you here at the Trond Mohn Games from Bergen, a World Athletics Continental Tour silver meeting. And as I mentioned, stay tuned to the European Athletics social media channels and indeed a website, because 36 meetings on the road to the Paris Olympics in 2024 will be live streamed by European Athletics. But from now, from me, Cathal Dennehy, it's a very good evening and thanks for joining us.